What makes me Canadian? What makes an Italian Italian? Or a Brazilian a Brazilian? Well, the basics of it is very simple. Geography. I'm in this land of Canada, above the 49th parallel. This is where I live, where I was brought up, raised, and have a passport. So I am Canadian. There might be some cultural things that come with it. There might be some language things that come with it. But primarily it's geography that's what defines me as a Canadian. And I probably would add maybe something cultural, perhaps. And that's the truth about everybody. Other people, their identity is not based on their national connection, but it's based on religion. Right? Like, some scientists are atheists. They believe dogmatically in their religion of atheism. Now others believe in other things, but it's based on something that you believe. You buy into something that becomes your identity. Today we live identity politics. I am what I believe. So it used to be what I am, what I believe, was based on religion. Now I am what I believe is based on your politics. So just like in religion, if you don't believe in the right religion, so then you are canceled. Back in the day, it was a little more than just canceled, but off with the head. Right? Today, if you don't believe in the right political leanings, then, off with your head, at least figuratively. If not, sometimes, might be the attempt more than that. Welcome to Tanya Today. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. So all people in their identity, whether it's identity of a nationalism based on where you are living or lived or born, based on the geography and the culture, or if the identity is deeper because of something that you truly believe in, something that has faith beyond you, and that's your identity. All of those things can come and go. Can come and go. There's something today we're going to learn about what it means to be a Jew, what defines us as a Jew. So we continue in chapter 18. Chapter 18 in one word is ma'od, very. We're going to find out how it's very, very near to us. Mm-hmm. The Jew and their relationship with God. Right? And that's the reference point over here, even though we have many people who aren't Jewish who learn with us. And, of course, the teachings are something to not just identify with, but to use and employ in your life. The Alter Rebbe spoke to his Hasidim, to his followers, and that's who the book primarily is written in that manner. So, in yesterday's class, we said something unique that is the Jewish soul. It has what's called an Ava Mesuter, it's a hidden love. So we need to understand what's the uniqueness of that love? What's the source of that love? And why is it an inheritance from the patriarchs and matriarchs, that love to us? So today we're going to deal with a couple of those questions. So the patriarchs, who were truly what's called a chariot to God, meaning just like a chariot is driven by its rider, the chariot has no whim of its own, has no desire of its own, which direction to take.
Actually,
So likewise, the patriarchs and all truly righteous people, they have no desire of their own. The only one desire they have is to fulfill the desire of God, to be connected to God, to cleave to God. That's their only desire. So they're solely directed by the will of God. Since they were such holy individuals, they merited that their descendants, the Jewish people, would get a uniquely Jewish soul, which that Jewish soul becomes their identity. So their identity is not based on geography, because they're born in Israel, right? Their identity is not based on belief, because they buy into believing in God and in Torah, but it's based on soul that's given by God. The soul is given by God. But why does God give it to the descendants of the patriarchs? Because of their unique divine service to God. They merited that their descendants would get this unique thing called a Jewish soul. So let's understand then. So with that, we answered one question. We asked, what does it mean? How do you inherit something? Well, it's God giving it to us. It's not the patriarchs. They merit, their descendants should get this Jewish soul. Now, what is this Jewish soul? As a soul is made up of three inward components of nefesh, ruach, and neshama, three dimensions of the soul, that's made up of the 10 holy spheres, the divine attributes, in the four worlds of Atzilus, Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya. All right, 4 spiritual worlds. Souls come from the spiritual world. They come from the divine attributes, right? And what that means, though, that each world, a soul comes from a different dimension of, in each world, a different attribute. And that's why there's a distinction between souls. But there's a distinction in the functionality of the soul. But the root source of the soul, which means even the most unworthiest or sinful Jew, right, that even if they come from the lowest level of nefesh, which is the lowest level of a soul, nefesh, of the lowest level of malchus of Asiya, malchus is the last of the 10 divine attributes, right, sovereignty, of the lowest world, which is Asiya, right, as opposed to the righteous, their souls come from the world of Atzilus, a much loftier place. It doesn't mean that they are inherently different. Their functionality will be different. Their appreciation of godliness will be different. That's true. However, even that lowest of the souls that come again from Malchus, the lowest of the divine attributes, in the world of Asiya, the lowest world, and in that level is nefesh of the divine attributes, yet that Malchus in the world of Asiya, it's made up of Chachma of that world, the divine wisdom of that world. And that Chachma of Asiya, clothed in it, is Chachma of all the way of Atzilus. So even though this low-level soul, right, and that's why it can be a person who is what we call Kal Shebekalim, the most distant of distant Jew, yet incorporated in their soul is Chachma of Atzilus. Now, why is that important? Because Chachma of Atzilus is the highest level. And it is the vessel that contains in it Or Ein Sof, the limitless light of God is garbed in it, in Chachma. And therefore, that Or Ein Sof is in every Jewish soul. No distinction. No distinction how much is a devolving of the soul. The core of what defines the soul, the Jewish soul, is Chachma Batzilus. Chachma Batzilus contains, maintains, is a container for the light of the infinite light of God, the shining of the infinite light of God. The infinite light of God is everywhere. Its shining is not necessarily everywhere, right? In fact, it shines, doesn't shine everywhere. But in the root source of the Jewish soul, it's shining there even to that Jewish soul that is very far removed. Very far removed. Right? Now, then, of course, that doesn't abdicate to any kind of performance of doing good rather than bad, because just because you have that soul, right? It doesn't abdicate. On the contrary, you even have a greater responsibility because you are endowed with such a soul. However, the point being over here, this becomes now the identity or the source root of where the Jewish soul comes from. And it's what defines every Jewish soul, bar none, whether that soul is a soul from a Jewish mother or from someone who converted to Judaism. God is the one who gives the soul by way of the merit of the patriarchs and who their descendants are, yes, but God gives it. And what is he giving? He's giving a piece of him that is the Ein Sof infinite light that shines in the Chachma of the soul and illuminates it. Now, that person may not live the illuminated light of God. The righteous will. And those who are more distant will partially and partially not. And those who are very distant might not. May very little do that. May very little possibly. But it doesn't matter because they possess it. That's what defines them. Doesn't mean they live it, but they are being defined by it. That's the key over here. Okay? They're defined by that Chachma. So now we understand the root source of what makes a Jew Jew, what makes the soul uniquely a Jewish soul. Now, how does that play out different than a non-Jewish soul? So the Alter Rebbe doesn't deal with that here. But without going into the non-Jewish soul is coming from Bina, the Jewish soul is coming from Chachma, but not for the moment. Ultimately, everything comes from God, right? The question is how, in what manner it comes. In any case, so what that means, we're going to explain in tomorrow's class. In other words, okay, so it comes from Chachma. The Chachma is the highest level of the attributes, of the divine attributes, and therefore it becomes a vessel for the infinite of God. So the question is, how does it become a vessel for the infinite? Chachma is a finite, quality of the divine. It means wisdom. It's wisdom. It's not bina, understanding. It's not chesed, kindness, right? So it's got a limitation. It's got a parameter that defines it. How is it a vessel for something that's infinite? So we'll learn about that tomorrow. And what does it mean? So, okay, so that's what the root source is. But so what? What does that mean? What's its character quality is what we want to understand. All we understand now is what defines, and what defines every single Jew is the chachma of the soul that is illuminated and being shined upon it, the infinite light of God. Now, the infinite light of God is everywhere, but it's not necessarily shining everywhere. It can be concealed, hidden, right? And not shining. Okay? Well, but it's the same. So in that respect, there's not a difference in the identity. So what's important, actually, what comes out over here is that chachma of the soul that is in the soul of the Jew. You didn't create it, so you can't uncreate it. God is the one who created that reality, and therefore, born a Jew, you die a Jew. You converted to another faith, doesn't make you not Jewish, because you could convert your belief system, right? And that's everybody else. Everybody else, their identity is based on what they believe. Well, today you could be a liberal, tomorrow you could be conservative. Tomorrow you could be conservative, and the day after you could be liberal, right? Today you could believe in one religion, and tomorrow you'll believe in another religion, because that's based on you and what you buy into and what you believe. And that's what creates your identity, which really means that your identity is not essentially you, right? It's not essentially you. And that's really, and likewise when it comes to your identity from a nationalist point of view. I'm a Canadian national. Well, until I don't want to be anymore. I give up my nationality as a Canadian because I don't like our leader, and I don't like his politics, and I don't like the people. Whatever. I'm just giving an example. I don't mean me, right? And therefore, I denounce my national identity, and I'm taking a different one on. So you could choose that. Here, you can't choose it. That's unique. Only exists by the Jewish people. Because other faiths, it's based on what you believe. So you can buy in and you can buy out. All right.
That was a synopsis.
That was a scenario.
That was a synopsis. Of today. Okay.
So David asks, when Mashiach comes, how will it affect our souls? It'll just be more openly revealed. It'll be more real for us. Well, right now, it's not so real. Right? Not so real. This soul that we have. But then it will be very real. The light of Torah is the root source akin to the Pintaliyid. Yes. That's what we call the Pintaliyid. Pintaliyid means the quintessential point of the Jew. What's the quintessential point of the Jew? Is this chachma of the soul that is a vehicle, a vessel to contain the infinite of God. All right, amazing. All right, John has a question. So the presence of Chachma Batzilus in every Jewish soul is not necessarily related to the intellect or comprehension. Yeah, John, excellent question. Tomorrow we're going to learn about it, right? Today, today's teachings is only about understanding the root source of the Jewish soul. Didn't explain the character quality. We need to understand what's the character quality. Okay. So what is unique about this? What is the understanding the character quality. That'll be tomorrow's class. Excellent, John. You're a step ahead. All right, folks, guess what? Rambam is coming up. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zuch and Kadesh from Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the time here. Have an amazing, great day. God bless you all.